Okay guys, it's Environmental Day in DT and you are going to be learning a little bit about programming in your Year 9 lesson. It's going to differ a little bit from what we had scheduled for your lesson. In your lesson you were going to use one of these microcomputers. However, because you're having a cover lesson, we're going to make it a little bit more simple, and opposed to programming using a physical product, we're going to program using a virtual model, which sounds all very complex, but is very, very simple indeed. Just a little bit about this virtual model or the physical product. You can see it's got a couple of outputs here, which are the bulbs, the LEDs. You've got the processing unit in the middle, which is the computer, which we call the Genie 08. It's got 8 pins. We've got the inputs here, so we've got the left input or the right input, and down here we've got another output G0, and we've got another input, but actually it's the same input as the button above. This here is a supercapacitor, this is the battery, but don't worry too much about that. Right, the Genie in the middle doesn't identify you typing in left bulb or left input or left button or the button on my left. It wants a name for it to make it clearer, and the way it makes it clearer is calling it G4, for example, for this LED, or G2 for that LED. For that input there, which is a push to make, as we call it, push to make the circuit, that's a G3, or that is G3. The other one is G1, and we can see that this output here is G0. So it has 5 Gs, G0 to G4. Which identifies with different things on its circuit. So we've got to use that language if we're going to be programming. That's first up. Okay, what I want you to do is go to Circuit Wizard. How do you do that? You go down to this button, the Windows button, click on it, go to D&T, go to Circuit Wizard 3.5, click on Circuit Wizard 3.5 and it'll open. I have it at the bottom of my screen. I'm going to open it up. When you get to Circuit Wizard 3.5, it'll come up with a whole variety of different programs, different screens, different functions you can use. You've got to choose the right one. If you don't choose the right one, you won't be able to program. Or you may be programming in the wrong language, for example, maybe BASIC opposed to the flowchart. So we're going to select this one, Circuit with Genie Flowchart. Okay, that's the one we want. If you do the other ones, they don't have the programming ability. So we're going to open that, and that will open Circuit Wizard. Right, next up, I want you to go to your team. If you go to your team, you'll then find a file that your teacher's put there. Can you download that and import it? So I'm going to go to my team. I've got this file. I'm going to download it. I think it comes up here, download. There we are, we're downloaded. So if I go back to my Circuit Wizard, I can go to File. I can go to Open, and I should be able to find, so I'm going to go back even more to this page, online documents, desktops, downloads, that's the one I want. So downloads, double click on that. And in my downloads, what have I got? I've got all the files I've been downloading, but this is the one I've recently downloaded. So I open it. And when I open it, it looks like this, a bit underwhelming really. So a little bit about Circuit Wizard. You've got different views along the left hand side, okay? And what you can do is you can go on to normal, standard view, neon, keep it on normal, okay? It makes it much easier. Down here, you've got different functions. And so here you can see that I've drawn the circuit. That's my original circuit diagram of the computer. I've then drawn the PCB layout. So this is what created the board. And so I've got the artwork here. I've got different tabs down the left-hand side now. And then I've got the flowchart. And the flowchart is where we do the programming. Okay, so what I want you to click on is, for the time being, is I want you to click on PCB Layout. And that was the red one. Okay, now that looks a little bit confusing. So what I want you to do is go to Real World View. And can you see now, if we zoom in, how this here is very similar to that there? Yeah, it's got the same components. It's the same board. Okay, and I'll just pop back onto Circuit Wizard. Okay, and so yeah, we're going to be using this board to create a variety of programs. However, when I say in the tutorials, okay, now download it to your real board, you don't need to do that. All you need to do is go to this tab down the bottom and see if it works. So I'm going to just take you through that now and take you through the programming. Okay, so to program the board, we've got to go to the flowchart. That was the page that I originally was on. Okay, and we have this command start. When you are programming, you've got to make sure that this tab on the right hand side, okay, is on gallery. All right, if it's not on gallery, you can't have access to your functions. If it's on program, it's looking actually for that computer. All right, so make sure it's on gallery. Over here, make sure it's on normal, and down the bottom, make sure it's on flowchart. Okay, so we want to produce a really simple program that's going to, what can we make it do? Flash the lights on and off when I press the left button. Okay, so let's have a look. Flash the lights on and off when I press the left button. All right, so when I press G3, G4 and G2 come on and go off, come on and then go off. Okay, let's do that. Right, back down to Circuit Wizard. Start. When G3 is pressed, now it's a bit confusing down here, but to ask a question if a button is pressed, it's what's called digital, and digital is on or off. So we're asking, if we double click on that, we're asking, these are the two inputs here, G3 and G1. We're asking, is G3, is it on? Now the symbol for on is 1 in green, the symbol for off is 0 in red. Okay, so we're asking the question, is G3 on? Well, if it is on, then I'm going to turn my lights on, which were G2 and G4. So I can't ask a question again. I've got to now control my outputs. Okay, and my outputs are in this function. So over it comes, and you see it automatically joins up. It also says, yes, okay, that G3 is on. Now, that might not always be the case. It may be that you wanted that to be no and the other one to be yes. And if that is the case, what you can do is you can right click it and you can swap yes, no. That's a right click and swap yes, no. Right. Going back, if G3 is on, outputs, what we want is we want to turn 4 and 2 on. Okay, so 0 is off, 1 is on, just like before. So we're going to turn those two on. Now, if they go on, everything in electronics happens really fast. If they go on, now we want them to stay on for an amount of time before we go on to the next function. So why don't we add a wait command of 1 second here? I could have also done that by pulling in this wait command here and putting that in as a second, all right? But you've got two functions in one, which is quite handy. So they've gone on for 1 second. Now they haven't turned off, and so if we want them to flash on off, we've got to turn them off for 1 second. So in come another output, and we're going to turn these off, off, and we're also going to put a wait command in there for 1 second. Okay, and we wanted that to happen twice, or maybe even 3 times. Okay, so we're going to copy this, paste it in, copy, paste it in. Now can you see that these haven't joined up just here? So I've got to join them up. So what I have here is a question, then I have some output functions. And right when we're at the end, what we've got to do, we've always got to go back round to the beginning again. Otherwise the program doesn't know what it's doing. For example, it's a good way to test a program is to press play. And what will happen here is it'll say incorrect flowchart, and it's because this hasn't gone back round to the beginning. So I'm just going to grab this. Grab that one actually. Up, down, around. Okay. And that's back around to the beginning. Is my flowchart working? Yes. Now, usually what you would do here is download this program by going to program, it's already on program, sorry, downloading it onto your computer. However, you can't do that. All right. So instead, what we're going to do is look at this virtually. So if I go now to PCB Layout, you'll get to this screen, okay? And this is effectively a virtual model of your microcomputer, right? Make sure that you're on PCB Layout. Make sure you're on Real World, okay? This doesn't really matter, gallery or program. I'm not worried about that. That's not the issue. What I want you to do here is go up to play, okay? So we're going to see how this virtually reacts to our program. So we're going to press play and we can see nothing happens. Now our program was when we press the left button, the bulbs flash 3 times. So we're going to go over the left button, we're going to press it and once, twice, 3 times. Excellent. And now the program will have gone back around to the beginning again. So guys, that's a little demonstration of how you can program, okay, using this, how you can virtually see what the program does on a virtual model of your microcomputer. So hopefully that's been helpful. Today, when I talk about downloading, you don't download because you haven't got a computer. You just pop to this screen, which again is the PCB layout. It's real world, and you play it here. Just so you know, guys, if you're not playing it, you can't really interact and press the buttons, okay? You can move the things around. If you do start moving components around and it goes all pear-shaped, what you should do is just load the program again. Just close this and reload it from your downloads. Or you can press Z and you can go back. All right, but just again, press play, it'll play it virtually, you're virtually modeling, and then we can see it work. So I hope you can do those next challenges on page 10. All right, so try and complete these tasks as YouTube clips to help you out, but please try and complete them first. And the only other thing I will say is you might want to come back to this, is if you want to use the buzzer is G0. Now G0 is, if we go back to our flowchart, what we could do here, we've got these going high, is this one. Getting impatient there. Okay, and now if we go back to the PCB, play, you can see we have this coming on. However, it's not going off. So I might have to just have a look at that and just update the program. All right, I hope that helps.